Hey there, and welcome to yet another edition of Drive with Dom. This is the third practice heat of Monday night, and this one is interesting because the field has gotten smaller. There's only 10 of us on the track now, and Shiva, myself, and Wesley, El Jefe, are all pretty much neck and neck for this entire heat, and I get to basically chase El Jefe the whole time, and we have a pretty nice drive. This looks more like what you would think a time trial heat would look like. The lap time sort of consistently heading lower, and then ultimately towards the end, doing our fastest laps, although I do my fastest lap on lap 10. So Shiva takes P1 with a 47.474. I take P2 with a 47.481, and El Jefe takes P3 with a 47.56. And then right behind us there is Slowpoke in P4 with a 47.946, and then Robert Giardini in P5 bumps up into the 48s, 48.194. He's the only one in the 48s because from there it jumps to the 49s with Nero, Guzman, and Timothy Sullivan, 49.751 and 49.846 respectively. Tom Hoff, our dear friend, pulls off 8th with a 50.313. Ted Balfour, 51.812, and then Mark Siegelstein, 56.118. So we've got a lot of clear track here, and I'm just going to take us sort of straight to the start. So let's go ahead and watch. And I'll try to make relevant commentary if it makes sense to do so. Anyway, by this point in time in the night, this is our third heat, and the track has gotten a lot warmer, thus down into the 47s. None of us managed to get into the 46s. Shiva got close on the last heat in Heat 5 with a 47.0. All right, so we're going to cross the start-finish and get going on the timed laps. So for now, basically I'm up front, it looks like. And I also have a cart that doesn't make the fake engine noises. Just nice and quiet. So popped a little bit wide there, actually. Let's go back. Let's see, right here, I take the first apex well, but it carries me wide out there, which carries me wide here. No harm done, but it's not the fastest. And so for our first lap, that being lap 1, I go straight to 49.417 for P2. Shiva's first lap was 50.077, so, a half second behind. And then El Jefe was the fastest of us three with a 49.117, putting him in P1. Let's see who was in P3. P3 was Slowpoke with a 50.048. Anyway, let's see what lap 2 looks like. So not a lot of push. Getting the cart placed where I want it to be. Back to apexes are looking pretty tight. Oop, again, bonked off wide. And down here I'm trying to be a little smoother through that bottom turn. Trying to find the line. All right, so this is going to be lap 2, which is down into the 48s. So I did a 48.84, putting me in second place. Shiva did a 48.828, and then El Jefe 48.963. So looks like, yeah, Shiva beat me by 2/100ths, something like that. So I feel like I was doing the turn up into the ramp pretty good today. This was surprisingly challenging, having to unwind early on this one because of the relative slickness of the track. Watch my hands. Like they're already open here, and I'm not even past the apex. I'm opening the cart up. So in order to hold this tight, you can see how early I have to start counter steering. Right there. So I've kind of straightened it out, counter steering. And then there I'm holding that well. Let's see if I bounce off the apex again here. A little bit, but this time I held it a little bit tighter. I feel like I'm too narrow consistently. I'll show you right where. Sorry, I backed up too far. You'll notice later in the heat, Wesley seems to pull away from me sort of in the back part of the track. And I think what's going on is I'm too far left too soon here. I think I need to delay my turn into this last bit by a foot or two. This bottom turn is a lot of fun. It's a very quick left, right, left kind of thing. Basically left, right, and then straighten out. All right. I like that final turn. So that's going to be lap 3 with a 48 spot, 698. So again, moving in the right direction, getting quicker. Shiva 50.336, so he slows down a little bit. Must have ran into some traffic or something. And El Jefe with a 48.426. So that's going to put him in first. I'll stay in second. And Shiva will now be in third. And Slopework with the 49.556 is in fourth. Again, no complaints. Wide. So it looks like I kind of missed my mark here. I'm going to be a little bit wide of this. Not too bad. That's okay. But that's a little bit wide. I'd like to get closer in there because I don't want to be too wide here. But that works out okay. That was nice. I think I do a better job there than the last lap. Not turning in too soon there. All right, so now we're coming up on some lap traffic. Mark Siegelstein, who joined us for the evening, is up ahead here. And I'm going to give him a little love tap. And here comes Wesley. All right, so that would be lap 4. So obviously with traffic, 50.028 for me. Shiva 49.361. El Jefe ain't taking no for an answer. and he does a 48.58. So he doesn't get slowed down at all, and proceeds to improve on the time, and then holds on to number 1. I hold on to number 2. Shiva is in 4th now, which means that Slowpoke did a darn good lap with 48.784 and jumps up to 3. Meanwhile, Robert is in 5th. Robert is in 5th pretty much the whole heat, with the exception of lap 2, where he's briefly in 6th place. So he's consistent and consistently in 5th this heat. Just doesn't have the cart for it. Anyway, now the fun begins, because Wesley gets in front of me, and we're going to be driving more or less comparable pace the whole time. Wesley and I beg our leave and apologize for being somewhat too tippy-tappy, but I follow Wesley through. All right, Wesley's more narrow there, but he gets his car pointed down, so he does well here. He's wider than me on both of those turns, but I think he does a better job here than I do generally. And here we look about the same. All right, so we are coming up on another cart. And let's pause that. So that's going to be lap 5, I think, with a 49.727 for me, which drops me to 4th. Shiva jumps up to 3rd with a 48.438. El Jefe 49.591, so similar to me. He drops from 1st to 2nd. And Slowpoke does a 47.946, so he drops into the 47s first, thus giving him 1st place. Well done, sir. So, it being lap 5, our tires are starting to get warm. I think Wesley takes the inside, and I duck under. And who did we unfortunately rudely bump out of the way? Well, not that rudely, but nonetheless. That is cart 40-something. Yep, so I'm guessing that's 45 Ted Balfour. So Wesley gets under him, and I try and unfortunately tap him a bit. So you see Wesley takes a wider line and then kind of turns in a little bit later here than me. It was a bit wide there, but no harm done. Let's see what you got, Wesley. A little bit wide there. I think I gap a little bit. All right, so that's going to be lap 6. 48.474 for me. 48.222 for Shiva. So Shiva's 3rd place. I'm 4th place. El Jefe 48.056 goes into 2nd, and then Slowpoke holds on to 1st, but bumps back up to 49.137, and Robert Giardini is right there with him with a 49.19. All right, so I think I gap on Wesley repeatedly here. So it looks to me like he's not getting quite down to the apex. Let's see. Same entry. Yeah, I just don't think, I think he's lengthening his time up the ramp there just by not quite getting down to the apex. Not sure why. And I do pull a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. In electric karts, you never pull a lot, since you don't have to worry about, well, it's not worry about things. Since electric karts have torque, they tend to kind of accelerate quickly, and unlike the gas karts, which bog and have a longer time to get to top speed, you don't really end up pulling over distance on people in electric karts. You pull on them in a very short distance, and then you're both back up to max speed. So again, every time Wesley's been further to the left here than me. And then looks like he takes a bit wider of an entrance at this point than I do. But the important thing is he's tight there, and I'm tight here. And we both have a good run through here. And then again, he takes a wider line there. He was wider on both of those. I'm not sure that's what he intended. But again, you can see that he's going further out to the right to turn in a little bit later. And I'm doing a little bit tighter, but I think I'm pushing more there. I think through this area it feels kind of comparable, but it's hard to tell. I think we both did pretty good through there. So I think that puts me, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're on lap 8, which is 47.941, putting me in third. And then Shiva on lap 8 is 47.474, so very quick. And also his fastest of the night, if this is indeed lap 8, putting him in 1, or fastest of the heat, rather, sorry. El Jefe on lap 8 is a 47.869. And that sort of tracks with mine. I was 47.9, he was 47.8, and Slowpoke goes back up, goes to 48.389 on lap 8. So if that was indeed lap 8, I get third. Shiva pulls off his fastest lap of the heat, gets first. El Jefe goes into second, Slowpoke goes into fourth, and like Robert stays in fifth. So let's see. See, it really feels like I'm gapping on him every time there, and there it's really noticeable. And it's just simply, I just don't think he's bringing the cart down to apex. So he takes a nice entry, but he just kind of runs it, I think. He doesn't bring it in far enough and takes a longer line. Again, he's way further left there than me. Does a better job there, but I don't slow myself down too much. I think I did pretty good there. Does the same thing again. This looks solid all around. And then I think that's lap 9. So for me, that's a 48.276 for third position. For Shiva, that's a 47.698, so he remains in first position. And El Jefe, 48.47 for his lap. And let's see what Slowpoke did. 48.67. And then Robert, 48.9. So let's see if he does it again. Yep. Wide, 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 wide. There he actually gets it down tighter late. He takes it down to the apex eventually. I think he just probably could come in a little bit tighter and pick up some speed there. Although it could also be like a kart thing. Hard to say, really. But it feels like his line is taking him the long way around. Nice apex there from him. So El Jefe definitely does this slightly different than me. He approaches further left, pops it up more vertical, and he avoids the first apex, as you can see, but wants to get his cart turned to be tight to this one. Again, avoiding the first apex. There, he's just wide, but yeah, a little bit too much speed, and I pulled up on him. All right, so I believe we're passing Mark Siegelstein again, so I go around the outside, and that should be lap 10. So for me, that takes me to 47.481, which is my fastest of the night, putting me in second place. And then Shiva, 47.9, remains in first place because of his previous fastest lap. El Jefe, 47.743. So we're all pretty comparable. Slowpoke slows down a bit, 49.251. And Robert, 48.194. So normally, my fastest lap's going to be lap 11 or 12, but in this case it was 10. So we shall see why. All right, pulling. And now I'm all right on Wesley's butt, and will remain here for a while. So you get to see his line up close. You can really see the difference as to how we dive into that. So he's going to hold it. I feel like he's getting the cart turned a little bit later and a little bit harder. Whereas I'm kind of riding it out more towards the wall. But again, I think it's kind of identical time-wise. All right, so this should be lap 11. 47.73 for me. Shiva does 47.82. El Jefe does 47.763. Slowpoke does 48.178, and Robert does 49.084. So again, still pretty tight. Yeah, so I think he's just going a little bit, he's still going a little straight when I'm cutting off some there. I'm bringing it down earlier than him. And that seems to give me a little bit shorter of a path. Yeah, so I think I'm doing my turn a little bit later, and he's doing his a little bit earlier. Back. Since we're nice and close, you can sort of see it. It's a bummer I can't figure out how to do slow-mo in OBS. All right, so here, he's going to get the cart turned sooner than I am. And then you'll see, then I sort of let the back come around, and I think he's sort of cranking it around. And then we're about the same through there. And we're very similar through there. 48.064 for me, lap 12. Shiva, 47.889. So Shiva remains in first, I remain in second. El Jefe, 47.56. That's his fastest lap of the night. So he does get his best lap on lap 12, putting him in third. Slowpoke obviously runs into traffic somewhere. He's a 53.264. And Robert, again, 48.194. So consistent. It looks like we get 14 laps in. We're coming up on some traffic here. Not sure. I think that might be Ted Balfour. I think. I'm not sure, but thank you, whoever it was. Really love this part. So much fun. And, you know, if you do it right, you just have enough space. Look at this. Just enough. Just enough. All right, so lap 13, 47.653 for me in second place. Shiva, 47.698. Remains first place. El Jefe, 47.827, not far off. Slowpoke, 50.65. And Robert, 48.865. Yeah, so I think I am definitely turning. Let's see here. Okay, so he holds the right. He turns at about the same point as me, but I don't think he's turning as hard. Or he's turning later and not bringing it down. And that is costing him a car length. So, Wesley, if you're watching, you know what to do. Ooh, we both get a good run through there. Nice run through here. Nice run through here. Wesley does a good one through there. Yoinks. Looks good. Looks good, looks good, looks good. We both have very solid lap. And maybe that was 13. That might have been lap 13, 47.653. Because lap 14 is the last lap that I get timed. So let's see. If this is a 56.567, this is lap 14. So I massively pulled on Wesley there. Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. Just super wide. Yeah, he just ran really wide there. And then we catch up to Mark Siegelstein, I believe. And they kill the power on us. So yeah, this, and then there's Shiva, I believe. So Shiva was right behind us the whole time. Hey, what's going on, buddy? And that's the lap 14, which was obviously not completed, 56.567. So that was a really good heat. Everyone got to got to stretch their legs, and we ran progressively faster laps. We all sort of peaked a little bit earlier than normal, or at least in my case. Normally I'm a lap 12 or lap 11 as my fastest, but in this case it was lap 10 for me. Shiva's fastest was lap 8. El Jefe's fastest was lap 12 as expected. Slowpoke's fastest was lap 5? Yeah, lap 5, oddly. And then things went sideways a little bit for him. And then Robert's fastest was 48,194, which was lap 10. So an interesting result in that respect where, some of us had our fastest lap early on. But that was a fun session, and, that felt pretty good. That felt right. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Talk to you guys later.